Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Wednesday. It's November 16th. This will be our chart lesson for today. And real quickly, I'm going to be taking off tomorrow with my mom. I've got some issues going on, and I'm just going to take the day off and take the rest of the week off. So I will be out of the office Thursday and Friday and have limited access to email and so forth. So no chart lesson tomorrow. This is actually going to wrap up our week for this week. Next week will be a short week with Thanksgiving. Normally I take most of that week off, but I'm probably going to work Monday and Tuesday since I'm going to take this long weekend, and then I'll probably take Wednesday off through the rest of next week. So I'm not sure. I'm assuming they'll be trading Wednesday. I'm not sure, but I'll probably take Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday off regardless. That may change. I need to look at the trading schedule and see. I'm assuming just Thursday and Friday will be holidays. Maybe only Thursday. I'm not sure yet. So, but I will probably take. I know I'll take at least Thursday and Friday, and I may take Wednesday. But I'll probably work Monday and Tuesday since I'm going to take Thursday and Friday off this week. So we'll see. I'll keep you posted. But just know that I'm going to be out of pocket the rest of this week. So I have so much I need to take care of that it's just going to be difficult for me to try to come in and work. So I'm just going to take the days off. But anyway, let's get to the chart lesson, wrap today up, and this will wrap up our week since I'll be out tomorrow and Friday. Um, you can see the daily chart. Here's once again today, just another inside bar. We're just kind of working sideways here. This next bar doesn't mean much at this point, but it's just working sideways so far. It seems like what they do is take it up in the overnight and then they drive it back down during the day when the what they're doing is they're raising the market when the volume is real thin during the overnight. And maybe they're doing that to keep the market from crashing. Who knows? Lots of theories out there about that kind of stuff. But anyway, it just seems odd when they rate, when it runs up real strong every night and then sells off. So during the regular day when they can't drive it, when they can't manipulate it due to the higher volume. But anyway, you can see it here. We're just working sideways. We're still very overbought. Prices are closed a little lower again today. I expect that we're still going to correct here for a couple of days. And this may be all the correction we get until we shoot up here to this trend line. I mean, we could have we may have bottomed out here. I don't think so yet. I think we will probably at least try and test these lows again, if not these lows here. But we may go to the trend line first, and I may be wrong. We could just keep going higher. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, the with the Republicans winning the House, they didn't get the Senate, but they did get the House, and that's usually favorable to the stock market. So there's some reasons to think that we might get a little rally here. I'm not buying into it yet. But really today was just a range day. It looks like a bearish day on the daily chart, but when we go over to the 2000 tick chart, you'll see that it's basically just a range type day. We did trade down into the range, so we traded down today, but 90% of the trading day was sideways mixed trading on a range day. So let's flip over there and look at it, and we'll go from. And here it is. You can see we had this early trend down. This blue area is a news item, so really, once again, today you probably didn't start trading until about 7:15 due to that news. These couple of important news items that came out or actually, it was you probably didn't. These were 7:30 news items, so you may not have started trading until almost 8 o'clock today. So a little after 7:30 anyway. So generally, I 15 minutes, and that's kind of what I accounted for here because we were it wasn't a huge movement today, but there was some movement there. But you can see we traded down, got the break, made a new low, and we never could rally out of there. We started out in this peak range, and you see basically made a measured move down. We failed out the upside, made a measured move up. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I had a little cough going on there. I couldn't pause it in time, but we had this measured move up on a failed breakout, measured move down on a failed breakout, and we tested the low side several times before we traded up, and we closed off the lows a little bit, but we did close way down from yesterday. Here's the close from yesterday, and you can see we closed down from there. So we actually had a down close day, but this is basically just sideways mixed trade. This is there's not, as you can see, there's not a lot of trades after about 10 o'clock. There's a few, but not most all. I mean, it was great trading early on. These were all pretty straightforward, and then it just kind of got mixed and sideways, and it's harder to trade. But anyway, let's zoom in, go through the trades, and we'll wrap this day up, wrap this week up, and kind of wrap this week, get ready for the holidays coming up. But anyway, we were working sideways. There was a trend down, this trend line here. And I basically got this upper trend line. I drew it off these lows here and then pulled it up to the high, and that worked out perfect. You didn't need this trend line to trade this trade though. But here's your news. Be flat 15 minutes prior. So by 7:15, be flat, and generally wait at least 15 minutes. And if it's not too crazy, you might trade after that, or wait for it to settle down. And this wasn't a really big deal. So about 7:15, you get this test off the highs, big bearish bar. I like that trade. Run straight down. I mean, if you get this one trade, that may be all you need today. There's a good chance you get a runner on this, and then it drops down, and you get a second entry short right off the key entry point. We aren't back down to the lows yet, so I still like that trade. There's plenty of room to the lows here, and it's another nice move. And we came up short again and then run back up towards the trend line. So now that we're headed higher here, you may get a break. I didn't mark this trade because it's still inside, but there's two legs back, and that's a big bearish bar. If we'd have came off the lows, I'd have probably marked that one. You could still argue for that to be green, but you need to be careful with this trend line working up through there. And you see because it bounces, it still would have been a good trade, but it bounces, and then you make a new high, and then you get a lower high here. Wouldn't trade that on the engulfing. I'd wait for that to close, and I like going short there. And then we just end up chopping sideways again. You finally get a triple test here, and let's try to go higher once, twice, three times. Relatively bearish bar, plenty of room, and it just takes off again. Again, you might get another runner there. Runs down, then you get a second entry short here. Usually I don't draw these trend lines, but sometimes if you get an extra setup, just draw them and just make sure and just see. And if you draw this, you can pretty much see that you got your break and a second entry, and you probably make a new low, and then that's you get your break of this channel, a little two-legged correction, and you run to a new low, and then it corrects after that. And so that's kind of what you're looking for. But notice we run up, you get the bounce here. We notice how prices don't bounce. It looks like they're going to rocket out of there, and then they just kind of struggle. You get a close outside this little channel, new high, and then you make a lower high. Plenty of room back to the EMA, so I like going short there. You're just looking for a scalp, but in the end, you might get much more than that out of that trade. And then it's pretty obvious we're going sideways here. And I don't think you want to buy yet. There's no real buy setup here anyway. Maybe you could say there's a reversal here, but that's too choppy, and I would wait. I'd be looking for shorts here. I wouldn't be looking for buys yet. And then, of course, we come back to the highs, make another lower high. Again, I marked this one green. You're way away from the EMA. It is right off the resistance area, but I made it green because this channel's still in play. You're better off to kind of wait and see and notice what happens. Even though this would have worked, you still get your close outside and then move to a new high. The breakout fails. That one's a possibility. I mean, that being a doji, I'd wait. It is a long way away from the EMA. It probably will be a failed breakout. I mean, there's some reasons to consider that, but I just think it's a little aggressive. And then, of course, you try to go higher once, twice, and you turn down right off that key entry point, top of the range again. Very bearish bar. Just go short there. There's a lower high here, but that bar closes too far off its low. And then we actually get a failed breakout here. Notice what happens. You actually get a close outside and 2 legs down, and you don't quite get a measured move, but notice you try to go short once, and then you get a second entry short that fails, and look how far you are away from the EMA. And we know most breakouts are going to fail at least temporary and come back to the EMA and probably come back and test the breakout area. So that's where I like going long if you're going to go long. And you can see that's a quick, easy move. And then we're just kind of struggling along. And then it comes back to the trend line again and gives you a second entry long. After that big bearish bar right there, that's probably going to trap people that aren't paying attention and don't draw their trend lines like some of y'all probably didn't do and probably took that trade. And you got trapped. But I'm going to take advantage of that trap and go long right there. And this one is tempting as well. It's just a first entry. It's kind of congested. It's off the key entry point. But I just don't think you can take that trade. It's just a first entry and first entry long. It's not a failure to the downside or anything like that. So I don't think you can take it. And of course, we run back up to the upper side. And again, I did not mark this trade, but we are at the upper side of the trend line. We are right at the key entry point, and it turned down with a big bearish bar. Odds are you're going to come back, but after a failed breakout the low side that didn't make a measured move, sometimes it means we're going to go higher, which we end up doing, but it comes back and makes another leg up for that. So, but maybe you take that one. That's another iffy one, white mark green. And you notice you get your break, 2 legs up, and you turn down. And you got this channel working down. You get a break, first entry short, second entry short, nice bearish bar on the second entry short. I like that to look for it to come back down here. And it actually pushes a little further, bounces. And again, this looks a lot like this over here. I just don't see, this. If this would have closed on its high, maybe you go long there. But with it being an engulfing bar, you can't trade the engulfing bar. It just looks too congested. And of course, it comes back here, and it's just a first entry long right into the highs. It doesn't matter in the end, but you don't know that up front, and so it's too big a gamble to go long right there, in my opinion. And you actually get an overshoot here, and you make the perfect measured move. That blue line is the distance from here to that blue line is the same as the width of the range. Same thing down here, this blue line. And so you got your measured move, then you make a lower high with a big bearish bar way away from the EMA after an overshoot. I like going short on that one. And then you drop down here and you come back. You actually start going sideways and you get a little failed breakout. And it looks a lot like this original channel somewhere we had over here. It's like a repeat pattern once again. And on a failed breakout, it's off the key entry point. I like going short there. You can't go short into those lows. I don't see anything on down here. And we're just kind of struggling along here, just kind of working sideways. And you might look at that triple test, but the problem is really, here's why I don't like that triple test. If you look at that, there's another little range right there. And so if you go short right there, you're going short right into those lows, and you don't have enough room, and you see how it bounces. So that's why I don't like that one. It fails out the top, and again, you don't get a very good signal bar, runs down, finally makes the measured move, but you can't buy that really because this channel's in play, and it might hit it and turn lower. But instead, it breaks out, turns down, and fails, and so I like going long there on that break higher because you made your measured move, and you'll probably come back at least to here. And you can see we've been running back and forth above and below the EMA, so this is just more sideways stuff. Don't worry too much about the EMA in that. That one's tempting, but I'd wait on a lower high, and you don't get anything, and you're just kind of chopping along again until you run down. Get a closeout side new low, but again, I'd wait on a higher low, but you get right there, but again, you're just in a little range. congestion area, and you just don't want to go long into the highs of that. And that just it's so close. It's so close to 2:30. It's getting late in the day, and you can see what happens. You just end up moving over. And if you check the measured move, you can see that's a measured move, and you just got a channel there. So not worth taking anything. I don't see anything else. So that was probably the last trade of the day. And there it was. I mean, it was pretty straightforward until most of this day was pretty straightforward, actually. Um, for a range that didn't have consistent lows and stuff, it still followed the measured moves and all, and it still kind of followed the trend channels. So even though it's kind of a mixed trading day, this was one of the easier ones. So if you struggle today, I could understand why if you're new, but if you understand what we're doing, this for a range day, this should have been a little easier. And maybe that's just my thinking. At my skill level, I don't know, but this for a mixed trading day, this felt like I mean, everything was much clearer today for a mixed trading day. At least it felt that way to me. Maybe I was just in the zone today. And sometimes you do that. You just get in the zone and you don't understand it. Everything falls in place and every read is perfect. And some days you're completely out of the zone and you're off all day long. And when you have those kind of days, just get up and go home. Go play golf. Go play with your kids. Go do whatever you like to do. Don't sit there and give your money to the market when you're on those off days. And when you're on those on days in the zone, take advantage of it, because you will have days like that. And that's kind of how it felt today. It just felt a little easier considering it was all mixed trading. And again, maybe I was just in the zone, but I think most of these trades were pretty straightforward. There were some second entries. All the little trend channels were following through, even the little micro ones. You know, when we did break out of this channel, we got the measured moves with good setups. It's just one of those kind of days. So but anyway, I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm going to wrap this day up in this week. It's late and I'm ready to get out of here, and I won't be back Thursday or Friday. I probably won't be able to have a chance to read much email, so unless it's emergency or something, please hold your emails for me. I appreciate that. I still appreciate all the prayers for my mother. We're going to need them. And that's mainly why I'm taking these 2 days off to spend some more time with her and try to figure out where we're going next with her. She's not going to be able to go home and be normal for a while, so we're trying to make some decisions on how we're going to handle that. She's going to need a lot of physical therapy. But thanks again for all the prayers and notes, and I appreciate it. Hope everybody has a good weekend. I will see you next week for a couple of days, but it'll be a real brief day next week due to the Thanksgiving holiday here in the U.S. So thanks to everybody. Have a great weekend. I'll see you next week. I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next